Hi, people. How's this light? Alright, I don't look too bad. I got a little bit of a cold. I like it better over here, but I don't have anything to put it on. Let's see if I can balance it on top of my jackery. That's not going to work unless I'm doing some hokey stuff here, people. Hokey. I'm doing some hokey stuff at the last minute. Yeah, that's too tall. I need something a little bit shorter. How about my coffee cup? There we go. Perfect. So the tablet base is sitting on top of a thing like this. I would show it to you, but I would have to take down the whole thing. And it's propped up in the front with the coffee cup. So that's what I mean by hokey. But I was just sitting here in the bus thinking about something to post on Facebook, but then I realized I don't have an internet connection because my jackery is in here instead of out there boosting the Wi-Fi signal from next door. So I have no internet, and I thought instead of writing a Facebook post, why don't I just record a video and then upload it later. I haven't recorded a video, it seems like, in a year almost. Yeah, because I was sitting here thinking about gender confusion. Because let's see, this is February, it's like February 9th. I started hormone treatment on September 20th, 2022. This is February 2023. So, more than a year. Let's see, on February 20th it will be, so September, October, November, December. I hate doing months like this because I always forget which months I need to add and which month counts as 0, which means it's not counted. So like I started in September, but that's 0, right? That's not 1. So September 20th was when I started. So November 20th would have been 1 month. October, October would be 1, November, December, so 3 months. So January would have been 4 months. So fast forward, so add 12 months to that to get to this January, is that right? 16 months, so I'm going on 17 months, something like that, and I still don't have clarity. I still don't feel like I know for certain. So I've got these nice sized boobs. I don't really have a butt. I still got my man belly. So my appearance has changed in 16, 17 months, whatever it is. Of course, there was like a month where I went without it because of the issues with the VA. The VA does this thing where they approve you for treatments when they have to send you outside the VA for treatment, which is what they had to do here because the VA in Salisbury they're not set up for, like, they don't have an endocrinologist at their facility. So they had to, I'm drinking whiskey to deal with my cold. Actually, I'm just drinking it, but because I have a cold is my excuse. That's what I told myself not to drink, but I only have a little bit left. Can you see it? I drank almost the whole bottle last night, and that's why I told myself not to drink again. Because I drank that and then I drove to a Mexican restaurant and got something to eat while I was hammered. You know what? I watch a lot of these videos on YouTube, and people talk, and they'll title will have like a certain subject, and then they'll start the video, and they'll be talking about getting hammered and going to the Mexican restaurant or whatever, stuff not related to the subject, and I'm like, just get to the point. So I get it. I'm sorry to all those people I judged and said, just get to the fucking point. I have other videos to watch. 16, 17 months. We'll just say 16 to 17 months. And I feel closer, but I still don't feel like there's like just this like, I got it now. Like I understand who I am. I understand my problems in life. There are moments like that. There are moments where there's like this, I think I got it. But then it doesn't last, or whatever. Or just say, for example, there's this thing where when I put on the wig, this is a wig, I like seeing my breast all of a sudden become more, I like them more. I don't just like them more, they actually look better. But if I take off the wig and I see my man head in the mirror, now all of a sudden my boobs become kind of just like, ugh, you know, like no, they don't fit. And I want to get rid of them sometimes. Like if I were to go out in public without, I don't wear the wig in public anyways, but if I were to go out, like, you know, the point that I was getting at is that I still have this kind of back and forth. It's like seeing the boobs, like one moment is like nice, and then another moment is like, I'd kind of like to get rid of them. And it's usually because of the whole thing of having to go out in public. So that might make it sound like it's obvious that my motivation to get rid of my breast is a fear-based motivation, that it's not really, that's not my real desire. But sometimes I kind of feel like if having breasts was my real desire, then why would I even think that? Why would I think that it's good to get rid of them? At this point, I kind of feel like that I've had in the last month, probably, I would say even up until this point, I still have moments where I think I should just stop the HRT. And it's in a different world, maybe. I would be okay with it. But in this world, I feel like it just makes my life too difficult. My relationship with my family is in the trash. Maybe it can be brought back out of the trash, but the whole thing of work, work has been a problem. Just finding steady work. Some of that, I don't want to say that that's necessarily because of the trans thing. But some of the jobs that I've had, I left just because I wasn't satisfied, or I was just kind of. In the last year, I'm now on my 5th job in the last, I think, 12 months. No, 13 months. Because in January of 2022, I was working for my father. I left him to go to Home Depot. I left Home Depot and then went to Rose's. And left Rose's, came back to work for my father again. And then left him again. Actually, in that case, he let me go. He didn't. I didn't leave him. But and then I went to a temp agency and got hired at a warehouse. I'm not hired at the warehouse, but I was working at a warehouse. I was hired through the temp agency. But it was temp work. So now I'm back from working with my dad again. So I haven't had steady jobs. And I'm not going to say that's because of the trans thing, but it is, the trans thing does certainly make it what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if there is a word for it, but it makes me not want to go to certain places. Just because I have breasts that are difficult to hide. And if I were to go, like, there's a gas station up the street, walking distance, I could walk to work if I got a job there. But I feel like I don't want to be a gas station clerk who everybody sees as a man with boobs. So I don't even, I mean, it's walking distance, you know. I could save money by not driving. I don't have to worry about driving. I don't have to worry about losing my van. I am worried about losing my van because I used the title of it to get a loan. And now I'm struggling to pay back the loan. So, things like that. A lot of that stuff has nothing to do with being trans. Like the fact that I got a loan using the title for my van, that has nothing to do with being trans. In a way it does. I mean, I could make an argument that all the problems that I'm having now are related to being trans, but it's not in the sense that people might think, right? It's not like society rejected me and now I'm having trouble just surviving. It's not, I wouldn't put it that way. If I were going to make the argument that me being trans is what is the reason that I'm in this kind of like just struggling to keep my head above water, it would be because in the past I always took the path of least resistance. I always viewed jobs as something that I never went for jobs that I wanted. I always went for jobs that were just kind of like, if I leave here, it doesn't really matter to me. If they fire me, I don't really care. If I quit, I don't have a desire to stay here. And so my point is that I was basically just getting jobs at like low wage, menial labor jobs. Typically I worked at greenhouses, warehouses, restaurants. I did work at gas stations. I worked at Starbucks. Places like that. Places, it was just like, you know, you kind of like walk around town and look for now hiring signs. And I was like, oh, well, they're hiring, so I'll just go get a job here. It wasn't like, where do I want to work? Where can I see myself working for, like, say, 5 or 6 years? I never did that. If I had done that, I wouldn't be in this position now. I probably could be making $100,000 a year already. If I had just had like some kind of like, this is the road that I'm going to go down and that sort of thing. But maybe the trance is not the best angle for that, but because I was also diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and so that might people might say that's more borderline personality disorder. The whole thing of not really having like a I know what I want to do kind of thing. But for me, it wasn't so much that I didn't know what I wanted to do, because I always knew that I wanted to do like creative work, that sort of thing. But where the trans part comes into that for me is the fact that I avoided stuff like that, because I had this thing that where I felt like there's this part of me that if people see it, they're going to reject me. And this is why I don't go for jobs that I really want, because I might end up losing the job. Because if I, you know, if this thing in me that I'm trying to keep hidden, if it gets exposed, that could be the end of it, right? Like, there's this thing that I have that when people see it, they're like, get that away from me. So I felt that way even before I thought it had anything to do with transgender. I felt that way around my own family. I felt that way in any group that I went to. So for me, there was no I had very little motivation to invest myself into some group or into some organization, like a company or whatever, where I felt, you know, like, to kind of look at that and say, I really want to be here. Because I always had this kind of idea in my head that I'll be rejected at any moment. And so even if they don't reject me, I mean, like, my longest job has been about 4 years. That's when I worked at IHOP, the restaurant, and aside from that, most of my jobs have been less than a year each. I worked at Home Depot. Like I said, I just mentioned, I worked at Home Depot for like 6 or 7 months. Roses, only 2 weeks. The warehouse job that I just mentioned, the temp job, that was only about 5 weeks. Of course, that wasn't my decision to leave. The greenhouse also was just a few months. I worked at a restaurant in Hawaii when I got out of the Army. I was there only a few, maybe 1 or 2 months. And so this makes it difficult to get jobs, right? Nobody wants to, well, I don't want to say nobody wants to hire me, but when I apply at places like Walgreens or McDonald's and they don't hire me, and they haven't looked at me, right? Because everybody now is doing online applications. So like, I applied online at Walgreens, I applied online at McDonald's, which I didn't really want to do. They didn't hire me, and they informed me that they didn't want me. They said, we're going to move forward with other candidates or whatever. And I'm thinking I'm overqualified for these jobs, right? Like, I should be managing the store, but here I'm applying for like a cashier job. which is what I was applying for, and they didn't want me. And I'm thinking, unless they're looking at my Facebook profile, unless they're looking at my credit score, the only reason I can see why they would not hire me is if they were to look at my job history and see that I just go from job to job to job to job to job to job, like I'm changing shoes, right? I change jobs like I change shoes. It's not for me. That doesn't work because I wear the same shoes all the time. So I change jobs like I change clothes. I have like 5 pairs of shoes. 2 of them I wear all the time. See, here I am talking about jobs, and I meant to talk about gender confusion. But I would, when I look back at that, that seems to me, look how dirty my nails are. I guess that was from making my fire yesterday when I was drunk. I can't stay on the topic. No, I'm not drunk. But like I just started taking sips from this just now. My brain isn't working. But yeah, so I never really invested myself in groups and things like that in the past, and that still carries over. That whole thing of just not wanting to, that whole thing of like, my position in any group is always tentative. There's no even individual relationships, like with people, like when I meet people at work or whatever. Like there was a guy who I met at the warehouse, the last job that I had before this current one, who liked me and gave me his phone number and that sort of thing. And I don't mean he wanted to date. Maybe he did want to date, but he seemed to take an interest in me. He seemed to see me as somebody. He's the kind of person who is similar to me, where he just goes from job to job. He's homeless in the sense that he doesn't have his own place. He crashes on people's couch and that sort of thing. And that's one of those things where I look at that relationship and think, now that we no longer work together, this relationship is doomed for failure. Maybe I should just scratch the whole subject of gender confusion and just turn this into a rant. I don't mean turn it into a rant. It's already been a rant, but title it a rant, just a rant, something, I don't know. And then just talk about what I want to talk about instead of trying to stay on a certain subject line here. Being a weirdo. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, is that there's this part of me that's just like, I'm just a weirdo, and so relationships for me don't work, which is why I don't invest myself in these jobs. Because I had this just kind of like, you're gonna reject me at some point. At some point, you're gonna see something in me that you don't like, and you're gonna say, "Get out of here." And or I just don't like you, or whatever. Like with this guy that I just mentioned, he's still. I haven't been working at the warehouse for 2 weeks, and he's still sending me text messages. But I'm thinking, this isn't gonna last. You know, this will be over in probably before this time next year. That I'll never, you know. I'm trying to think where that comes from. Because I think part of that is that a lot of the people that I meet who do take an interest in me usually just want sex. Sex, or they just want, you know, I don't know what, but I've lived with people before. Twice I've moved in with people who said, I'll let you live with me for free. And twice, both times, I take that back. 3 times I've met people who let me live with them for free. The 3rd time it happened, I was like, I don't think I want to do this. But and that's because the first 2 times I did it, the people didn't. It wasn't for free, right? The people wanted their payment, but they just didn't want money. The first time it was a gay man who I knew he was gay when I moved in with him, and I told him when I moved in that I was not interested, and he ended up kicking me out. Not because I turned him down repeatedly, but because I called him a pervert, because he kept coming on to me repeatedly. And, you know, and I told him, I said, I told you in the very beginning I wasn't interested. And he's like, I let you move in here because I thought that would give me a chance. And, so, but then the second one was a woman who told me I could live with her for free, but then kept coming on to me once I moved in there, and so I turned her down twice. And after the second time, I come back from work and all my stuff is on the porch. And so the 3rd time that someone offered me to let me live with them for free, I thought, no, I don't think so. But she ended up being one of the best friends I've ever had. So that one actually did turn out quite well, I would say. It was definitely one of the more positive. That little stint was one of the more positive experiences of my life. Despite all the fighting and the arguments and that sort of thing. Because she and I used to fight and argue a lot. And from her perspective, that was what I needed to be doing. She thought that I didn't express my anger enough and that sort of thing. And so she was trying to encourage me to express my anger, to fight with people, to not avoid confrontation and that sort of thing. So, but that meant her and I fighting quite a bit. Still, I count that as a positive experience. So, I am totally rambling at this point, people. I don't even know where this is going. I'm just wandering through the woods like I did when I was a kid. I don't even know where this is going. I don't think I could do like professional television, like where people have to like read a script and like say like, these are your talking points, stick to these things here. I don't know if that's a kind of, you know, some ADHD type thing or what, but I might have to go get some more whiskey. I told myself to stop drinking. Here I am, inflaming my own behavior. my own negative what am I doing? I promise I'm not drunk. I do have a little bit of a buzz. Now, because I've just about finished it. I'm about half from where I started. Gender confusion. There is, maybe it's not confusion. It about gender, but the way I'll put it is, what I'm looking for is like the foundation. I'm looking for the bottom. I'm looking for the place in me where I can say, this is it. This is the point where I can plant both my feet and stand up. And when the world tells me who they think I am, I can say, nope, that's not who I am. I know who I am. I don't need you to tell me who I am. And if you try to tell me who I am and it's not in agreement with what I see, then I don't need to listen to you. Because I spent most of my life in that phase, in that mode of thinking where I needed other people to tell me who I was. And that I've said it before, that I use the world as my mirror. And doing that, I was only ever ugly. I was only ever undesirable, and or if I was desirable, it was for this just kind of like sex thing. That's where I was going with that whole string of thinking in the last few minutes ago, with the people letting me live with them, where it seems like when people do take an interest in me, my brain goes to, they just want sex. So maybe they do really care about me. Maybe they do, but I've gotten to that point in my life where if someone shows an interest in me, I immediately become suspicious. And I think they don't really care about me. This is my suspicion. They don't care about me. They want something, right? They want sex, or they're looking for a husband. That was another thing that I encountered with women was, I thought they were genuinely interested in me, but then when I didn't want to marry them or give them the picture that they were trying to paint for their own lives, then they wanted nothing to do with me. And so I just kind of felt like I was, when I was desirable to people, that I wasn't really desirable to them. It was more just that I was like a character in this play in their head. That so maybe I should just make this an update video. Update you on where I'm at. I do still feel confused. I still do feel like I don't know if I'd rather see myself as a man or a woman. I know that I enjoy it. Right? Like when I put on the wig and makeup, I'm looking over here at the mirror. There's a mirror over here beside me. And I'm checking myself out. I'm like, well, you look cute. Despite your shiny red nose. But yeah, even despite that, like when I take the wig off and I say I go to the gym to take a shower, I'm back to seeing myself as a man again, and I feel like I don't despise seeing myself as a man. I don't feel disgusted when I see myself as a man until, you know, I put the wig and the makeup on or whatever. Like I'm looking in the mirror now and I'm seeing the muscle in my arms. I still have a little bit of muscle. Not much. No, I don't have much. Yeah, I don't have much, but I still have more than your average woman, maybe. That hurts to do that. But yes, when I see that, I think it doesn't look very good. When I have the feminine appearance, anything masculine that shows up is like, I don't really like that. But if I'm in the masculine mode, if I take off the wig and put on a man's shirt and man's pants and go to the gym to take a shower, then all that stuff is fine, right? Which means what? Does that not mean that the whole masculine identity is more of a social thing? Like, I need to fit into society, so every masculine thing about me that I see is good, right? Because I'm a man, so if I see muscles, that's a good thing, right? That means I'm a acceptable man. Isn't that what that means? I had a dream last night that my dad and my brother were criticizing me for like stuttering and not speaking like fluently, and I remember I was thinking in the dream that I don't have a problem with speaking fluently, and that's why I was laughing just now, though, because I seem to be having trouble now, and I'm like, what is this? It's almost like that scene in The Matrix where Neo loses the ability to speak just because of the thought. Was it his thought that caused that, or was it the other guy's? I don't know. It's like you think you can't speak, and then all of a sudden you can't speak. What am I doing here, people? Why did I even hit the record button? It does feel a little bit like I'm in a way there's like a divorce inside myself. That's what this means. This motion. It means there's like a cut, which is related to borderline personality disorder, but it does feel a little bit like there is a real me, and then there's the me that's looking for the real me, and the me that's looking for the real me has trouble recognizing the real me, right? Does that make sense? So sometimes when I see myself as a girl, I put on a wig and I'm looking in the mirror and I put on some eyeliner. And I think, wow, I think this might be the real me. There's immediately, maybe not immediately, but there's always a kind of backlash where there's this part of me that says, no, that's not the real you. That's not you. That's not you. I'm thinking about starting a brand of makeup, of eyeliner specifically, not makeup, just eyeliner, but branding it for men, and having like 5 different versions of the eyeliner, which would basically all be the same eyeliner. They would all be the same. Oh me. They would all be the same, but I would call them different. I would give them different names. So you would have like 5 options if you bought my eyeliner. If you're a man, of course you could buy it if you're a woman too. But the names would be names like Xerxes, Ashurbanipal, Ramses, Sargon. Should Sargon be one of the names? I love the way this wig looks when I look over here. Not so much when I look at the camera. But I'm just like, yeah. But yeah, I was thinking that going back and watching, I might be drunk. But seeing some of these movies that go back in time, or they don't really go back in time, you know what I'm saying? But like the 300 movie with my Jackery's about to die. I'm charging the tablet with my Jackery, and I'm charging my phone with the Jackery, and the Jackery was already low. What am I doing with my life? How do I end up in these situations where my tablet, my phone, and my Jackery are all dying at the same time? Is it all because I got drunk last night? Is that all it is? Is it because I'm going through this transgender stuff and I just don't even pay attention to these things? I would say at the moment, if I were a parent, I would be a negligent parent. This is one of the reasons why I don't want kids, because if I had kids, they would be like, Daddy, Mommy, whatever you are, I need attention. I need attention. And I'm like, go away. I'm busy. I got my own problems here I'm trying to solve. So this is why, one of the reasons why my bus is an absolute mess. I don't know if you can see it. The bus is an absolute mess. And I look at it and I think, God damn, what a mess. But I'm not going to deal with that right now, because I got this issue. This issue right here. Is that just the kind of narcissism? Am I just being self-centered or whatever? Or is that I don't know. I don't know. Where does that come from? I saw a documentary that where the Chinese have this like social rating score. It's like a credit score, but it's like your social rating. It's kind of like how employable are you, how reliable to society are you, sort of thing. And one of the things they look at is they can see the battery life of your phone. If your phone is consistently charged, then you probably have a high credit score. You know, that sort of thing. You're probably taking good care of yourself. If your phone battery is constantly low, they found this out somehow. I don't know whose idea that was, but they found out that if your phone battery is constantly low or in need of being charged, then you probably also have a low credit score. And I have a terrible credit score. So, I don't do this every day. This is not a normal thing. I bought this bottle yesterday because I was sick, and I thought, well, you can speculate on the reasons as to why I actually bought it, but I was sick yesterday and thought this will probably help. So I drank almost the whole thing yesterday, and then I'm finishing it off today. But I don't usually do that. So, but even when I'm sober, I still have a bad credit score. And I still have trouble keeping my stuff charged. And that is, I mean, before I hit the record button here, I was sitting here, right, thinking about the gender confusion. Thinking about how you know, it just seems never ending. It seems like there is no clear answer. Even when I look like a woman, there's like this, I kind of like that, but I still don't, I don't see the foundation here. I don't see the absolute substance that is the real me, or the absolute substance of me, where I can say, this is me, this is my foundation, I can stand on this and build the rest of my life and not worry about being rejected by other people, or not worry about what other people think about me, or whatever. So one thing is clear is that I can't be boxed into the identity of man. I can't be boxed into that. That is clear. That is one thing that is clear. So, you know, maybe being gender fluid is a real thing. Maybe that's just what I am. Maybe that it's not. Maybe my identity is bigger than gender. If that makes sense. And so gender is kind of one of those things where it's like, well, I kind of like being pretty. Does that mean I'm a woman? What is gender anyways? I guess if I were going to restate the confusion, I would restate it as it's not really a confusion about gender, because it's not like I'm not sure if I'm a man or a woman. It's like I don't see myself clearly. I still feel like I don't see the real me, and gender seems to have something to do with that, but I'm not sure how. So there are I would say two things that I've learned since I started doing this, right? One is, like I said, I can't be boxed into the whole thing of being a man. I can't be fenced into that. If I were to just stop doing this and go out and try to live my life as just a man, you know, dressing in men's clothes and that sort of thing, I'm going to end up depressed and anxious and all these other sorts of things. But seeing myself as a woman doesn't necessarily save me. So that makes sense. Like, people talk about like gender dysphoria and the opposite of gender dysphoria, which is gender euphoria. I can't say that I've ever experienced gender euphoria aside from the relief that I've felt seeing myself as a woman. Did I say there were two things? So one of those things, like I said, is that I can't be boxed into this thing of being a man. Before I forget what I was going for originally here, I'm going to go back to what I was talking about before. One is that I can't be boxed into being a man. Two is that my sex life has something to do with my gender. Clearly. And it seems to be that being feminine, or seeing myself as feminine has something to do with my sex life. My libido, my ability to be satisfied, I guess. Because I dated several women. I've never dated a man, but I've dated several women, and the sex was pleasing, but I can't say that it was satisfying. A lot of times I would have sex with these women that I was dating, and I would end up with this feeling of I just didn't get what I wanted. There was something that I wanted from the experience, and I just didn't get it. And it was pretty much that way always. I don't remember ever having sex with a girl and thinking I got what I was looking for. So those are the two things that seem to be certain, right? I can't be a man, like 100% of the time. Maybe I could do a kind of back and forth thing where I'm a man when I go to work, and then I'm a woman when I come home, sort of thing. Maybe that's possible. Or it's just like, you know, I'm a man in one situation, you know, where I need to be a man, and then I'm a woman in another situation where I need to be a woman. And then the other is the sex thing. And I say that because my state of arousal is at its highest when I see myself as effeminate. Like if I watch a heterosexual porn, if I imagine myself as the woman, I'm more aroused than if I imagine myself as the man. Usually when I watch heterosexual porn and if I look at the man, I think That's not me. That doesn't mean that I'm a woman, because if I watch transgender porn, where it's a tranny and a female, a she-male and a female, a lot of times I will identify with the she-male. It's not necessarily about trying to have a vagina and being a female, but just being feminine, right? There's something about being feminine that just gets me into that love-making kind of mode, I guess. And so those are the two things that are obvious. I can't be a man 100% of the time. I can't be masculine and be macho and be tough and be callous and all these other sorts of things. And there's something to do with my sex life, that because I haven't really had a satisfying sex life, it is important to me that I kind of resolve that. And this gender being feminine has something to do with it. So, with my ability to be aroused and that sort of thing. So, I made a video a while back, probably a year ago, about the cow fantasy that I used to have when I was like a teenager, when I was like 11 years old, maybe at the earliest. I don't remember how old I was when I had the fantasy. I know that I was young. I know that I was less than 14. And because it was before my father and his second wife got divorced. And I used to fantasize that I was a female cow. And you might think, why not a female human? It's because female cows have this big giant udder between their legs, right? So it's like they have a phallus, they have a penis, but it's not a masculine penis, right? If you look at a cow's udders, I mean, they're in the same spot as the bull's penis, right? It's basically like a woman's penis. It's like a woman having a penis, but she doesn't just have one penis. She has like, what is it, 6? And so I used to fantasize about that. I used to fantasize. It wasn't just being a female, but it was the arousing part of that fantasy was the udder. I have this huge udder between my legs. I'm a cow, and I'm walking on all fours, and my udder, when I walk, my udder like kind of bangs up against the inside of my leg, right? And this is making me aroused as an 11-year-old, and so I'm in the fantasy. I'm in this kind of farm area, there's like this barn, like this wooden barn, kind of like dark oak type wood. And the whole thing is surrounded by it's a fenced in area, and inside, between the fenced in area and the barn is just nothing but just cow manure everywhere. And so I'm walking in this area, my hooves are in cow manure, and then there's another cow in the area, and I climb up on the back of the other cow, and I start humping them from behind with my cow udder. So this was the first I wouldn't say the first, because in a way it was the only fantasy that I had that really was an indication of who I am gender-wise. Because aside from that, I wouldn't say I never think about sex, but I've never had fantasies where I've gotten aroused like I did then. For whatever reason, that fantasy sticks out in my mind as the most arousing fantasy that I've ever had. And I think that I probably, at that age, I was already like drawing pictures of women with penises. But I just couldn't let myself see myself that way. And it was easier for me to picture myself as a cow. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe it's just because the cow has the udder, you know, because women don't have penises. And so maybe there was just something inside me that is like the best fit for you is the female cow with the udder. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly in that fantasy there was something about that I didn't want to be the bull. I didn't want to be the male cow. That there was something about that effeminate kind of physiology, or whatever you want to call it, that was just like, that is part of the arousal. It's not that it's not the udder itself, it's not the object, but it's the fact that it is a female's organ. Does that make sense? So that is clear, right? So if I were, say, even whether I meet a man or a woman, like I met a woman yesterday. I ate lunch at a barbecue restaurant, and there was a woman who, she was not my waitress, but she kept checking on me anyways, and she was kind of sexy, and I was thinking about being with her, and I thought, if I were to be with her, I don't necessarily need to be dressed as a woman, but she needs to see that side of me. Like, you know, the boobs are certainly a big help in that case. But I think I might have to, say to her, if we're going to do anything, I need to go put a wig and makeup on. Because something about being feminine is, in that case, I can't say for sure because I never tried it. Since I've been doing this, I have not had a sexual relationship. So I don't know how it would go, but I imagine that it would go better than what I've had in the past. I imagine that if I were looking like this and went home with that woman, that it would be better than the experiences that I've had in the past. Why? What is femininity? I think somebody should do a documentary on what is femininity. I think it shouldn't be Matt Walsh, though. Matt Walsh should not do that documentary because it'll be a waste of time. But maybe it'll be me. But what is this? 1 hour and 4 minutes. How's that for feminine? Goodbye.